Hi, everybody. Welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. My name is Jared. I got an email from Kobe Ebert. The subject line says new changes. And in the email, ever since connecting the dots between changes being made by President Nelson in the Millennium, I found seemingly little adjustments to the church are making it easier to get an influx of members before and after Christ comes. Two of the newest ones that were announced in our sacrament meeting today were changes as topics and questions replaces gospel topics, and simplifying the Come Follow Me manuals. This will make it easier during the millennium for people to learn and teach the gospel. Just like the new Preach My Gospel is for members to learn to teach just as much as missionaries. Okay, so thank you, Kobe, for the email. He included part of an article and he did some highlights, and we're going to look at those highlights. But just to get everybody up to speed, I had made a spreadsheet just trying to, track all the different changes that are happening in the church and ones that seem to be in preparation for the second coming, both before and after, as the church experiences a lot of growth, both before and after. So we're going to look at these couple new changes. There's one that I didn't know about, and it goes all the way back to 2018. So we're going to look at that and the new changes and a few other things. Before we do that, I have updated the Flood the Earth Challenge. We're at 7,453 copies of the Book of Mormon that have been shared. So getting really close to 7,500. That's the next milestone. And we've crossed the 800 mark as far as people that have joined the challenge. That was the next milestone for that. I do it every, every 50. So good job, everybody. Thank you for joining the challenge. We're going to try and get to 1,000 total people that have joined. And then 10,000 copies of the Book of Mormon is the goal. Oh, yeah. And then I got an email from Sarah Nick. She sent me this picture. She was reporting some copies of the Book of Mormon that she had shared. And she put this without explanation, and I didn't know what this was. And I see you right there, Sarah Nick. I see you. So she's from Switzerland, okay? And by the way, I dig this design. I like the simplicity, and it's, to me, I like the simple logo-looking things. But anyway, so I asked her, What is this exactly? What is this? And she responded and said, "Dear Jared," smiley face, "I thought you may be accustomed to this Christmas tradition of an Advent window calendar in the community. Our participation this year, you can see, shows that we as a family chose the topic of a Christ-centered Christmas celebration. In preparation for the opening, the presentation of our window to the public, I invited several of our neighbors to join us. Together with the invitation, I added my testimony of Jesus Christ, whose teachings are found in the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ. I put the postcard together with a pass-along card, Find Christ, in the envelope to distribute. That's the story behind the photo. Von meinem iPhone gesendet." So this is really cool. And throughout the course of this channel, a lot of you have sent in really creative ideas. And feel free to send a photo, because I think it's good to inspire others. Maybe now I don't live in a place where many people see my window. So not a whole lot of people are seeing my window or door where I live. But if you do live in a place like this, like maybe you might consider this, and this is really neat. An Advent that you put on your door/window. That's really neat. And Sarah in particular has been very enthusiastic about the challenge. She's kind of a, I don't know. She's going above and beyond. Let's just say that. And not just her, there's been a lot of others that have shared a lot of copies of the Book of Mormon. It's kind of astounding. So anyway, thank you, Sarah. And I like this idea, and thanks for sending that photo. Okay, so first, in order to kind of set the context to this video, we need to read a couple quotes. The first one is from Bradley R. Wilcox, second counselor in the Young Men General Presidency. This is in a YouTube video. Right here, Brad Wilcox, 12 Tribes of Israel Breakdown, amazing talk. And what we're going to be reading is it's at the 38-minute and 3-second mark. Okay, he says, but when the second coming comes, that's when these tribes are going to give us a totally different organization, a different level of organization that's going to become very important. I mean, right now, we've got to get organized because when Jesus comes and he says, by the way, I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and that's what he's going to say. So do you think there's going to be a little interest in our church? Oh, yeah. Will we be ready to have 2 billion people join the church in one day? Will we have enough stake presidents? Will we have enough bishops? Will we have enough young women presidents? Will we have enough full-time missionaries? Will we have enough full tithe payers? We got to get with it. We got to get organized so that when we have that huge influx into the church, it doesn't swamp us. We've got leaders all over the world who can handle that. So Elder Darling, he's talking about a hypothetical missionary. You're not going to Guatemala to baptize everybody. Now, that's what your mission president might say. That's certainly what your zone leader is going to say. But really, you're there just to get things organized, bring people into the church, help them become leaders, help people back into the church and help them become leaders, help youth become leaders, help other missionaries become leaders. You've got to strengthen this organization so when Jesus comes, that's when we're going to baptize everybody. And we've got to be ready for that. There's one more quote. This is from Joseph Fielding Smith in Doctrines of Salvation, Volume 3, page 493. Spread of gospel during millennium. The gospel will be taught far more intensely and with greater power during the millennium until all the inhabitants of the earth shall embrace it. Okay? So I bring those up because I think sometimes people have incorrect ideas about the millennium. From what I've noticed, there's an entire array of different beliefs, and some of those are that, like the millennium is going to be this like pseudo afterlife type thing, and I guess it kind of is because we're going to have resurrected beings there, but life is going to continue if you're still in mortality. Your body is going to be changed to a quickened state, but we're still going to be doing the work of the kingdom, including missionary work. And it's not just Latter-day Saints that are going to be moving into the millennium. I have other quotes. I'm not going to go over them now, but from Brigham Young, Joseph Fielding Smith, Neal A. Maxwell, talking about the fact that there's still going to be all the different churches that you have right now. And you're still going to have not only that, but you're going to have agnostics. You're going to have all the different belief systems that we have right now. So, but missionary work is really going to take off. From what I understand from these quotes, it's really going to take off. And Brad Wilcox, I don't know if he is kind of like sharing a little bit of what the brethren have talked about as they've, thought or had meetings thinking about the future of the church and the millennium. But that could be a very real possibility, suddenly having 2 billion people. And so in order to be prepared for that, I think there's a lot of things that you have to do, and I think that's what the church has been doing. And hence, I have this spreadsheet where just during President Nelson's time as president alone, there have been so many changes. I'm not going to go over them all. You can come to my spreadsheet if you want. The link for my spreadsheet is in the description box of every video. So as long as you have access to the internet, you should be able to access my spreadsheets. And this particular spreadsheet is called Timeline Preparing the Church for Second Coming. Okay? But basically, one of my favorite examples of how the church may be preparing for that day is this. October 2nd, 2019, women, youth, and children may now serve as witnesses of sealing and baptismal ordinances. Before that point, it was always a priesthood holder. But guess what? When there's 2 billion people that want to join the church in a day, maybe we're in a kind of a all hands on deck situation where priesthood holders are needed for strictly what only priesthood holders can do, like baptisms and other things. Okay. So you free up priesthood holders by doing that. And there's been a lot of other things going on, synchronization across the church globally, the reduction of time at church from 3 hours down to 2 hours every Sunday, and other things. So this is why I'm interested in this email, and we'll come back to this spreadsheet. But first, let's go ahead and read what Kobe highlighted. So the article is Come Follow Me simplifies from 4 manuals to 1. Church makes first significant adjustment to Come Follow Me curriculum since its launch in January 2019. Okay. And this is dated the 13th of September. So this was just 6 days ago at the time that I'm recording this. In 2024, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints will study the Book of Mormon the second time since the launch of the Come Follow Me curriculum. And by the way, I do want to confirm I've gotten a lot of comments and emails pointing out that the cover of Come Follow Me for next year has Christ coming to the Nephites and appearing to them, which is a foreshadowing of our own day when Christ comes to us at the second coming. So probably no mistake. I know people just want to be like, oh, it's nothing. Oh, I wouldn't be so sure. I wouldn't be so sure because, let's see, let's go to library. Let's go to general conference. We've noticed interesting, we've noticed interesting things going on with, the artwork and imagery that they've been using for general conference. And this is the first time in recent memory that for this conference, October 2023, it was the second coming. And then in April, it was Palm Sunday imagery, which again, I think is a foreshadowing of the second coming. And then you go to, let's see, magazines, Liahona, and January's out. I didn't see that. It's the Tree of Life. Okay, so every day or every month this year, every issue has had Christ on it. And it's not like that in any other year. Believe me, I've looked. I already did a video about this. But you can see for the May Liahona, you have Palm Sunday because that's the general conference issue. The only exception is October. You have a picture of the first presidency, but then in the conference issue, November 23rd, you have the second coming artwork. And I think this is a new piece of artwork. I haven't seen it before. So, and then it was the October 2022 General Conference. Let me go there so I can visualize it. It was the October 2022 General Conference where in President Nelson's last talk, he showed the Book of Mormon video, the one that has Christ coming to the Nephites. He showed that in conference. And then in the very next conference, April 2023, he told us in his very last talk that we should all read that account. So he has that on the mind. He mentioned it 2 conferences in a row in his last talk, both showing it to us and then telling us to read it. I would imagine because we're going to be living it soon. So here you have Come Follow Me. Oh, well, yeah, it's right there. Here you have the Come Follow Me for this next year with Christ meeting with the Nephites. Okay. All right, so back to this. Next year's manuals will be different from the first experience as the church moves away from separate manuals for the home, Sunday school, primary, and youth classes. Instead of having 4 manuals for those groups, one unified manual has been published and distributed to individuals and families around the world. Yeah, I could see how that would make things easier, especially with new members. Because, look, when you have a bunch of new people, everything is going to be new to them. And so you want to reduce as much confusion and redundancy and just make it as streamlined as possible so that everything goes as smoothly as possible. It makes sense to me. So, okay, Sunday School General President Mark L. Pace said, "Come Follow Me" has the goal of creating individual, personal, spiritual experiences. Come Follow Me as a spiritual multi-tool. Mike Madsen, a product manager for the church, said, the effort to simplify from 4 manuals to 1 gave his team a chance to review the previous manuals and create something that could be useful by all church members in any setting. Quote, "We took the 4 manuals and we combined the best ideas from all of them. And if you compare each of these new manuals to what we used to have, we feel it is an improvement in each case," end quote. So here's an example, I guess, of the 4 different manuals that they had before: individuals and family, primary, Sunday school, Aaronic priesthood, and young women. The previous method meant the church was providing a home, primary, Sunday school, and youth manual for 71 languages across 4 years for a total of 1,136 different printed manuals. Oh, gosh. The new method will drastically reduce the number of manuals that need to be maintained while creating a new, stronger tool that meets the needs of the growing church. So there it is. They want to do this, among other reasons, because the church is growing. And then whenever the second coming happens, it's really going to grow. So it's a good thing that this is happening now. Quote, "It simplifies as well as strengthens home-centered, church-supported learning for the Word of God," Madsen said. Okay, now, so that's one thing. Okay, we'll go to the spreadsheet in a minute. Let's cover this. Here is the second thing, and I didn't know anything really about this until now. Guiding principles to help answer gospel questions. Topics and questions replaces gospel topics, provides resources for those seeking answers and for helping others with their gospel questions. So I'm not going to lie. When I first got this email, I was a little bit confused as to what this was referring to. I could tell it was referring to the church website because I recognized gospel topics. And so this is how it is. Let's go to the church website. They're here. First, in Come Follow Me, it actually refers you to gospel topics. So I'm looking at the Doctrine and Covenants 2021, Come Follow Me for individuals and family. And after contents and title page, it says introductory materials. And then it says additional resources. So if you're a new member of the church, and you're trying to learn, or maybe you're relatively new and you've been given a calling to teach a class, maybe it's been like a couple of years or something, and now you're ready to start teaching class, which is kind of crazy, by the way, but it points you to these different resources to prepare your material. And it has hymns and children's songbook, seminary and institute manuals, church magazines, and then it has gospel topics right here. So what happened is, I guess it used to be this right here. This, I don't know if it was always in this spot on the church website, but now what was gospel topics is now topics and questions. So they changed the name, and you have everything in alphabetical order, Aaronic priesthood, all the way down to Zion. Okay, A through Z, a bunch of different topics. And I was still a little bit confused because there are other places on the church website where you can come across, like you have like these study aids that are alphabetical like this. So topics and questions. And then if you go to the study helps or in your quad, you have both guide to the scriptures and Bible dictionary. So you have those two as well. And then you can go to church history. You go to this section and you have, okay, where is it? You have these two. You have church history topics and gospel essays. So you click on this, and this one is also alphabetical. Okay, church history topics, and then gospel topics essays. So this would be more in depth, addressing, the harder questions: race and the priesthood, plural marriage, Book of Mormon translation, becoming like God, just the things that different people sometimes struggle with. So they have that as well. So there are really a lot of resources available to us. And this is where we should first go when we're trying to understand the gospel before we start going to other non-church sources. Not that you can't, augment your learning with those things, but you have to be careful, because especially if it's something that's coming from another church or religion, because you could get confused and adopt ideas from another church and then confuse that and think that we believe that too. So lots of good resources. Let's go back. Okay, so the 5 guiding principles for those seeking answers to their own questions are: 1, so this is added, this 5-point list of things. Center your life on Jesus Christ. 2, be patient with yourself and others. 3, recognize revelation is a process. 4, consult reliable sources. 5, work to understand the past. Yeah, this is something that I think confuses a lot of people. They don't understand that revelation is a process. They think that you go to the scriptures and absolutely everything is there, every single prophecy, everything that's going to happen, it's already been written, and that's not true. It's not true. That's the way that other Christian churches believe. They look at the Bible as, I can't remember how you phrase it, but like essentially complete, done, infallible, it's perfect, and that's it. And that makes sense to them because they don't have the belief of living prophets and apostles and continuing revelation, right? We can't do that. We're in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We're not part of some other church. So we can't just read the scriptures. We also have to read general conference talks. We also have to keep on top of church news. We have to pay attention to first presidency messages. It's continuing. The church is back and it's alive. So you have to take it all in together. Number 4, consult reliable sources. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. The best place to go is to the church itself. And then if you go beyond that, you have to be very careful. And then number 5, work to understand the past. That's another thing. Sometimes people read, whether it's the scriptures or whether it's church history, they don't understand that things were different back then. People spoke differently. Culture was different. Attitudes was different. And so we have like this bias, this like modern day bias, and judge things according to our own context, which is wrong because they weren't thinking the same way that we do right now. So you have to understand, when you're trying to understand what they did, what they said, you have to put yourself into their shoes and try and understand their world. And then you can understand what they're trying to communicate and why things were done and so on and so forth. Okay. Continuing, applying these principles can help individuals live the gospel while also seeking answers to questions and strengthening their testimony. The process of obtaining and strengthening a testimony looks different for each individual and requires a different amount of time for each person. 5 years ago, Gospel Topics was launched to help both members and friends of the church find answers to questions. Gospel Topics and Questions, with the guiding principles, the 5 that we just read, is an update of that material. So I guess they decided to change the title and add "and questions" just so that it's clear. So like when you're going through the church website, you're like, oh yeah, I have a question, because you made that thought may not be triggered if you just see Gospel Topics. So it makes sense that they would do that. But I didn't know that the Gospel Topics part of the website was only added 5 years ago. That was not on my spreadsheet. And so I inserted it here. I don't have an exact date. I searched. In fact, I did an advanced search to see if there was like some church news article that talked about it. And I haven't been able to find one. So all I know is that sometime in 2018, Gospel Topics was launched or added to the church website, which by itself, I put the benefit right here: easier for new members to learn about church doctrine. So that's really neat. So this was during President Nelson's presidency. It wasn't from before his time, which I guess kind of surprised me. So they initially launched it 2018, and then here we are in 2023 at the end of the year, and they've I didn't add this yet. Whatever, new Gospel Topics and Questions section of the church website. I'll fill in the rest of this later. Okay, so 3 new things. So I gotta fix that. New Gospel Topics and Questions section of the church website, which is basically really just an update of Gospel Topics. I'll reword it. And then before that, we talked about the Come Follow Me, going from 4 manuals to just 1 unified manual, which is great. And it's kind of funny because in Sunday school this last Sunday, it's ironic because or coincidental, because there was an issue with this. Someone was confused about where we were at in the class, and they're like, which manual are you in? So this will be good. It's going to eliminate anything like that. And then I have this one that I've already done a video about, but we talked about the first presidency announcing new unified standards for the creation and adjustment of ward and stake boundaries, which essentially it defined how many people you need for a ward and for a stake. And it used to be that the United States and Canada were on one standard and the rest of the world was on another. So now it's all synchronized. Okay. So these are the new things that I've added to this spreadsheet. And you can see how just things are getting fine-tuned. And I guess I might as well just quickly mention, I did this kind of exercise right here where I took Dodge City, Kansas, okay, which has a current population of almost 2,800 people or 28,000 people. And if only half of them remain after the second coming, we don't know what percentage, but I'm just going to say half. Okay. That leaves you. So if you take half of 28,000, that leaves you with almost 14,000. And then if, say, 70% of them decide that they want to join the church at that time, then that's going to all of a sudden be 9,725 people that want to join the church. So you have the stake size of 2,000. You have to have 500 participating adults, 150 stake Melchizedek priesthood holders. And then for a ward, you have to have 250 people total, 100 ward participating adults, and 20 Melchizedek priesthood holders. And then after that, I did the ratios. If we're looking at a ward, then for every one member of the church, whether it's a youth, relief society or what priesthood holder, it'd be 1 to 39 new converts. If we're looking at participating adults, then it's 1 to 97 new converts. And if we're talking about ward Melchizedek priesthood holders, then it's 1 Melchizedek priesthood holder to 486 new converts. So you can see how things might be a little bit intense at the beginning. And these are just rough numbers, okay? It's just rough. We're just trying to get kind of like a ballpark. It could be worse than this. It may not be as bad as this. I don't know. We'll just wait and see. So, and that's assuming, by the way, these first numbers are assuming that all the church remains, which we know is not going to be the case. So, if we assume that only half of church members remain after the second coming, then it's going to be more like this: 1 new convert to, 78 new converts for every 1 person in the ward, 194 for every 1 participating adult, and 973 new converts for every 1 Melchizedek priesthood holder. So it's probably going to be something more along these lines. So it makes sense that, obviously Christ directs his church, and he's preparing the church, I think. He's preparing the church for this eventuality. Because if you don't make changes, if you just do things the old way, I mean, it could still kind of work, but not as well as if you make these changes and you try and, soften the blow. So, for example, it's much easier to go to 2-hour church if you're brand new than 3-hour church, right? And then just all the other things. So that's where we're at with that. And I think that's all that I wanted. Excuse me. I think that's all I wanted to share for this one. Yeah. Okay. So thank you, Kobe, for the email. Thank you, Sarah, for the picture and for being awesome with sharing the Book of Mormon. If you guys haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it, leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.